Alright, all my gamer frangelums. Today we're going to test our might against disappointment. We're talking about the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie. You know, the film that promised brutal fatalities, epic fights, and instead gave us Cole Young. Yeah, the guy you instantly forgot existed until I just reminded you. My B. So before I get into the good and the bad and how they can fix it in Mortal Kombat 2, don't forget to take a moment to like and subscribe. It goes a long way and it really helps a brother out. Alright, it is now time to tear the head off this mofo and expose the spinal cord that is Mortal Kombat 2021.
You got a pen? You want to write this down? Get fucked.
But let's be fair, the movie wasn't all that bad, and it has some fatality level highs. Sub-Zero, dude was the Thanos of the movie, chilling entrances, freezing blood into knives. He basically carried the entire film like Scorpion carries Netherrealm on its back. Kano, the Australian Deadpool we didn't know we needed. Every line of his mouth was either funny, insulting, or both. Honestly, they could have called the movie Kano Origins. And hey, they gave us actual fatalities. Kung Lao literally used his hat like a Cuisinart. The set design of the movie definitely looked pretty budget level, but the special effects were way better in terms of quality. Ice and fire, elemental effects, all the elemental particle effects were done very well. So in the way it mixed it in and incorporated with practical effects of the ice, that was all done very well and definitely helped Sub-Zero look a lot more intimidating. The actor that played him played it very well. He played it very straight. It's also from the Raid movies. If you haven't seen either of the Raid movies, they're spectacular. You should definitely watch them.
Kano wins.
And even going back to Kano, he was pretty much the only interesting character. His arc started as a bad guy, and then we thought maybe he was finally turning into a good guy, but in the end, he only really was in it for himself. Went back to being a bad guy, but he was still the most interesting and funny character. No one else in the entire movie was funny at all. As much as an a-hole he was, the guy that played him really knocked it out of the park. As we can see in the recent Red Band trailer, that Kano is still alive, even though at the end of one, Sonya Blade killed him, supposedly. Well, how is it that Kano is still alive? Maybe he didn't actually die at the end of the first movie, or Sonya Blade is just dumb and thought he was dead, but apparently he wasn't. Hiroki Sanada, the actor who portrayed Hanzo Hasashi, known as Scorpion, in the film and the upcoming sequel, was the best actor in the movie. It almost felt as if he was slightly above the story in a way, not to be rude. Every other actor on the film just wasn't at the same level of Hiroki. He recently just won an Emmy earlier this year for his performance in Shogun, well deserved. If you haven't seen Shogun, check it out. Absolutely spectacular show, one of the best shows of last year. If it wasn't for Fallout, it would probably be my favorite show of 2024. But he hadn't actually played the Mortal Kombat games prior to the role. He studied the character's origins and background to prepare. But I also did appreciate the choice that they had the people speaking different languages with subtitles and not just having them all speak English. I thought that was a good choice to go with. So hopefully they're going to continue on with that. Curious to see how much time Mr. Hiroki Sanada is going to be in the film. Is he just going to be kind of like the last movie where he showed up a little? Out of all the actors, he was the highlight, with the guy who actually played Kano being second, just because he was the only one who actually had much of a personality, and he was the only comedy relief in the entire film.
Get over here.
A Mortal Kombat movie without Mortal Kombat. That's like making a Terminator movie without Arnold Schwarzenegger. They need to battle to save Earthrealm. That seems to be what they're focusing on in the second movie. And another part that really did bother me was the Arcana plotline, where they decided to remove the fact that people had practical powers and just made it a magical power, which I thought was a very dumb choice. Because in the games, Kano has a bionic eye, and Sonya has these arm gauntlets that shoot off her special ring powers. So neither of them have special powers. It was almost as if, well, we need to figure out why some people have special powers. How does Johnny Cage do his shadow kick? How does Liu Kang shoot fireballs out of his hand? Or jump up in the air and do the bicycle kick? They were confused with how to explain it to the audience. Some people have a special inner power. Some people just have some type of device that gives them the power. So let's just remove all that and say it's magical powers. A really dumb way to do it, and felt like a really bad X-Men ripoff. Everyone discovering their magic powers felt less like the epic destiny. Congrats, Cole. Your Arcana power is a golden pajama armor. Riveting. Also, there was a missed opportunity for when Sonya finally got her powers. The kick where she flips over her legs and body slams you. That could have been a great moment in the film that they could have used even before she got her powers. And when she finally did, she really barely had a chance to use them. I guess we're going to see more of that in the second movie. And are they going to continue on with this Arcana thing? And will Johnny Cage be the same situation where he won't have any at first and then he does get some? The whole Arcana plotline, I can't see any way for them to not keep using it. Like, they're not going to roll back in the next film and say, oh, we're going to just erase all of that and have it back to how it used to be. So now they're just kind of stuck with this stupid Arcana plotline. If they were to continue to make movies past the second one, they're just going to have to keep using it.
I'm an orphan from the south side of Chicago.
Mr. Cole Young, the most blandest, boringest, uncharismatic, uninteresting character in just about any movie I've ever freaking seen in my life. He was portrayed by British-Chinese actor Louis Tan, who also played Shadow Star in Deadpool 2. But to me, it just feels like the actor just didn't have enough to work with at all. Why did they decide to even create a brand new character that's not in the games, where they could have just done what they're going to do with someone like Johnny Cage or even Liu Kang, like in the original 95 Mortal Kombat, where they had Liu Kang being the one discovering all this about him and his past and his history and the getting into the Mortal Kombat tournament. But they decided to go the wrong way, create a new guy who was so boring that it looks like in the second movie he's going to get pushed to the side and they're going to focus way more on Johnny Cage. In the film, Cole is an MMA champion who is struggling financially and fighting for $200 a bout to support his wife and kid. Also, the actress who played his wife, zero chemistry between the two at all. Just so wooden in general. According to his back history in the film, he was born an orphan on the south side of Chicago. Sub-Zero comes to the Earth world to come after Cole because he's considered an Earthrealm champion before the Mortal Kombat tournament, even though he had that dragon mark, which again is kind of silly in itself that he has this mark that looks exactly like the Mortal Kombat symbol. They could have made it look a little less like it exactly, just added a bit more scarring to it, so it just didn't look like he was branded by a Mortal Kombat brand. He always thought it was a birthmark. According to Jax, who just kind of shows up out of nowhere and saves him as a symbol of his heritage. And then later on, Sonya Blade, aka the Exposition Machine, tell him that he's a descendant of legendary ninja Hanzo Hasashi, the original Scorpion. So he ends up being the last known scion of the Hasashi bloodline. So the actor himself knows how to fight, definitely helped him. It would have been nice if they helped him on learning how to act so he wasn't so terrible. Making up a new character for Mortal Kombat is like going to a pizza place and ordering salad. I mean, why? Just why? So stinking boring and uninteresting. Why wasn't a director on set saying, hey, Louis, would you mind like not sucking at acting so much? Like, we get you're handsome and you can kick and shit, but how about emoting a little bit? How about having an actual facial expression that says more than just, hey, someone just farted and I can smell it, but I don't want to say anything. That's essentially the expression he had on his face the entire film.
The only champion that had the markings since I was born. My days fighting for $200 are done.
Boring. Well, it looks like they're gonna have the tournament. Stop teasing us like Shang Tsung's fake friendship. Put the characters in the arena, have them throw hands, and let the blood flow like Raiden's Electricityville. Mr. Johnny Cage, who appears to be the main protagonist, played by Carl Urban, who we all love. I can't wait to see his portrayal. It already looks pretty bang on in the trailer. He's a cocky sunglass wearing Hollywood diva. Can make Cole Young look even more pointless by comparison.
Jax and I were on a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, the target had superhuman abilities.
Boring. Better fights, less talking. We don't need 10 minutes of Sonya Blade explaining everyone's arcana and explaining the entire story. As we just sit there and watch Cole Young stare at her, we just need Liu Kang dragging somebody into the next dimension. And there was a decent amount of blood and gore, but for a Mortal Kombat movie, went for a hard R rating considering the amount of swearing in it. It could have been even bloodier and gorier, with way more fatalities. We only really had a couple. We definitely need to go gorier and bigger. You'll want to walk out of the theater wondering if you need therapy. That's how you know you did Mortal Kombat right.
What's his name? Kung Pao. Pass us a fucking egg roll, would you?
But something else they need to work on is the tone balance. The first one couldn't decide if it was gritty or campy. Pick a lane, or better yet, crash into both like Jax with his new robot arms. The first movie had a lot of campiness, but a lot of it was essentially just Kano. But Kano, again, was really the only character that had much of an interesting story and arc other than Hanzo Hasashi, who at the same time, there was no real explanation as to why after he died, he just went down into hell essentially and lived hundreds and hundreds of years. There was lack of a real explanation as to how that was a thing that was possible. So that left me a little confused. They didn't really give a backstory to that.
Maybe you should lay off the egg rolls, seeing how you wouldn't be ready to fight if you had 100 days to train.
So Mortal Kombat 2021 wasn't a flawless victory, but it had some moments. Mortal Kombat 2 has a chance to redeem the franchise. Less Cole Young, more Cage. Less exposition, more fatalities. Who do you want to see deliver the nastiest fatality in Mortal Kombat 2? My money is on Johnny Cage nut punching someone so hard they end up in the Street Fighter universe. Finish him or her by smashing that like and subscribe button, but don't forget to finish yourself off. And once you're done all that, don't forget to keep gaming.
Flawless victory.